So good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing fine. And good evening, Adi Sharma, who is Priya, and uh, again we have only one student right now. Anyway, we'll just begin with Priya itself. Now I can see 4 people are here itself. So we will start uh, today. Paper 1 we have missed the class, and that I'm going to do after this neoclassical criticism. So we'll try to finish this in 1 hour or 1.5, and immediately after we'll start paper 1. Otherwise we'll just have this class in the at night, and just be there anyway. So we'll begin. So tell me, everyone is doing fine. Tell me, how are you, Anjali, Priya, or whoever is there. So today our topic is neoclassical criticism. Good. So remember that. Anjali says good evening. Great. Good evening, everyone. So Thomas Hobbes, John Dryden. Today we are going to discuss all these important critics at that time, as who belongs to neoclassical criticism. And Thomas Hobbes, we are going to focus especially on Dryden and Pope, Edition, Johnson, and the other. But these are the main critic that we will be focusing thoroughly, and we'll begin our class. First of all, I just want to give you some introduction about it. And in the introduction, everybody most of you are aware of neoclassical criticism, and that defines with Dryden's work, and Pope is there, and also Samuel Johnson. So mostly this is dominated by two literary figure, with Dryden and Samuel Johnson. So we'll be focusing on them especially, and the others will just have like whatever we have encountered in the exam. So first, in England, the neoclassical period spans 180 years of art, and starting with the restoration of Charles II in 1660. So you should remember the date. And the works of neoclassical writer were all based on classical text like Virgil, Homer, and of course about ancient Greece and Rome. A neoclassicist is a traditionalist who believes that literature should be mastered through study, discipline, and practice. And I guess it is still going like that in our field also. So the classical value of unity and proportion were revived, and they viewed their art as a means of entertaining and informing. Who depicted neoclassical criticism, they depicted humans as social creatures, as member of polite society, and they possessed a sophisticated, elitist, and erudite manner. So the neoclassical ideal was founded on Horace Roman Ars Poetica. So Ars Poetica, the art of poesy, where we talked about, you remember what we discussed at that time about Horace? It was right that it was the poetry should teach and delight. That was there, right? Or teach or inspire to instruct. So that was something that we learned about in our previous. So can you write in the comment box what you remembered from Horace, and also what Plato said, and again what Aristotle and Philip Sidney said. So if you know, you can just write in the chat box quickly. So we'll just move to Thomas Hobbes. Anyway, it occurs without premeditation and achieves, as Alexander Pope said in an essay on criticism, a grace beyond the reach of art. And neoclassical, so this neoclassical period is mostly dominated by three figures: Dryden, Pope, and of course Samuel Johnson. So classical humanism was not about art for art's sake, but humanity's sake. So you remember, art for art's sake was after it was somewhere like Oscar Wilde and Swinburne was there, Walter Pater was there. So these were the critics or theorists who or writer was associated with arts for art's sake. And here in neoclassical humanism, it was humanity's sake. So true wit, defined by Pope in his essay on criticism, is what oft was thought but never so well expressed. So these are like important quotes in neoclassical criticism, and especially by Dryden and Pope, and of course by Samuel Johnson. So these quotes sometimes are very important, and they, in the exam, you might encounter these kind of questions, terms also. So Thomas Hobbes, first thing we are going to discuss why Thomas Hobbes is famous. Nothing much to remember. Remember that he is English philosopher, and one of the important work is Leviathan. As I talked about in our Renaissance criticism, that there were like so many guidebook, like how to teach, archery, how to teach this game, or how to the guide of court. So all these, the book of courtier we talked about, we studied, and also we studied so many things, right? That all of them, they started this criticism kind of, it started with the guidebooks. And then of course we have Philip Sidney, we studied that, and so that trend here is also something like why he is famous, Thomas Hobbes, because of the Leviathan. And according to him, Leviathan is who? It is actually political and social contract theory. Remember that Leviathan is all about politics, and he says Leviathan, in Leviathan, Hobbes refer kings and monarchy as God. As God, he says that monarchy is important, like backbone for the civilized society. So Hobbes had a broad range of contribution history, so jurisprudence, geometry, theology, ethics, and general philosophy. And he also wrote about Sir William Davenant, preface before Gondibert. So this work, Gondibert, is by William Davenant, and he wrote answer to Sir William Davenant's preface before Gondibert. So I hope it's clear, and now we'll have just quick look on Leviathan. So Leviathan, or the matter or form or the power of commonwealth, ecclesiastical and civil. And publication date is around 1651 to 1668. Its name derives from the biblical figure Leviathan, and again, like I said, it argues for establishment of social contract and the rule of an absolute monarch. So the keyword of Leviathan is absolute monarch, and Hobbes supported that monarchy and kings are like God. So Hobbes begins his treatise on politics with an account of human nature. He said he supported one man law. I mean, one authoritative figure in particular nation or a country. The sovereign has 12 principal rights. So that is all about Hobbes. We'll just move to the John Dryden quickly. As we know, Dryden's lifespan is quite like must. You should know lifespan of John Dryden, and it is 1631 to 1700. And as everyone knows, that he was an English poet, literary critic, translator, playwright also, and he was the first poet laureate, and date you should remember 1668. So Dryden is considered to have dominated the literary life of Restoration England to the point that the period emerged as the age of Dryden. So that restoration period we usually know as age of Dryden, right? Because he was really a dominated figure who wrote varieties form of literature, and it spans not only from poem but also criticism, treatises, or drama also. So I hope everyone is aware of Dryden's literary fame, and of course romanticist writer Sir Walter is called him the Glorious John. So who called Glorious John? It was Sir Walter said about John Dryden that he is a glorious John. And again, Samuel Johnson hailed Dryden as the founder of the English tradition of criticism. So as we have discussed in the Renaissance criticism, important critics and philosopher, and here Samuel Johnson, the proper English tradition of criticism started from Dryden himself. So Aristotle defined analyst as individual engaged in process of judging correctly and observing those excellence which should delight a reasonable reader. Correct. See, this is just introduction. We'll just move. Important thing, essay on criticism that everybody should watch. It will be completely different class, not like the other you see in YouTube. That's only because we are not focusing on big paragraphs. We are just learning the keyword and what associated term was applied or coined, these things. Got it? So tell me how many of you are ready for the essay of dramatic poetry. So write in the chat box DP, dramatic poesy. So we'll begin the class. So a little bit just small introduction again, that in 1682 he wrote Religio Laici in defense of the Anglican Church, and 5 years later he wrote the Hind and the Panther, where he converted himself into Catholicism, and that also supported Catholicism. He wrote upon the death of the Oliver Cromwell, and that was in heroic stanzas upon the death of the Lord Protector. He also paid rich tribute to the Lord Protector, and he commemorated the restoration of the monarchy through Austria Redux. Dryden laments the prostitution of literature by writers and publisher in his mock heroic satire Mac Fluckno. Great, Anjali says DP. So we'll start with dramatic poesy. Just keep one thing, just keep one small notebook with you. For that, don't write in big sentences, just write as keys to remember kind of point. Just small 1 or 2 sentences, or 2 word sentence, not sentence, just 1 or 2 word. So in that way you'll learn more. Okay, great. We'll start now an essay of dramatic poesy. I'm just gonna hide it, and I just wanna ask a couple of things. Just you have to answer, what do you know about an essay of dramatic poesy? Other than the name, what do you know? The date, of course, 1666, and the other what? What do you know about dramatic poesy? So, according to Dryden, now we are here. Drama is a legitimate form of poetry. So, these are all the debate that we are going to find in the work in this an essay of dramatic poesy. So, according to Dryden, drama is a legitimate form of poetry and comparable to the epic. So he starts like that. This is kind of all a summary of every single important point, and in that way we'll understand the work better. So throughout the book, he defends the English drama against the drama of the ancient and the French. So the one of the main argument in the book is this: English drama against the drama of ancient and the French. So write in the comment English superior, that greater than mark you can just write in code like E D represent what? English drama. That is actually the main purpose of the book, that English drama is also great, and he defends English drama against the great drama of ancient and the French. So that not the superior, just he says that it is as good as English drama is as good as drama of ancient and the French. So this is the topic. ED represent English drama, ancient drama represent AD, and of course French drama represent FD. So this is the main argument there, that you have to really remember. So the essay was likely written during the plague of 1666. So that also it was written in 1666 and it was published in 68. So that also you should remember. And the essay was likely written during, of course it is written around 1666 and published in 68. So in presenting his argument, Dryden refers, so here as the tradition continues, we begin with the Plato, right? Plato, Aristotle, and then we had Philip Sidney, that he was different. Now here dramatic poesy, Dryden is referring Philip Sidney's defense of poesy. I hope you remember Philip Sidney's defense of poesy that we studied. Remember what was that? Religious, philosophical, and imaginative. These three type of poetry that he talked about, right? And he placed, and he said that poetry is the least liar, right? And Plato said the poetry is the mother of lies and it should be banned from the ideal state. And here in Dryden it says the poetry is the least liar and the poets are the least liars. That was the statement that we studied. And here Dryden is referring again the defense of poesy in 1515, and he says so he actually mentioned that. That is all for now, and later we'll understand. And remember this code: Eugenius, Caritas, Lycidius, and Neander. For that we have to really first to order, like ECLN. Simple. Remember that if the name comes in a order, you should remember first come you all alphabetically order, if you can say. C should be first. Anyway, so Eugenius, Caritas, Lycidius, Neander, and we'll just develop code for all. EU is Eugenius, and he supports what? Or everyone should write everything in code for now. It represent Charles Sackville. So we'll just write CS, and then he supports who? Modern drama. So we'll just be MT. Okay, that kind of code you should write. I have mentioned the format, and UX MD. So write this like that. So we'll engage with the work, all of us together. So Caritas is Sir Robert Howard, and he supported classical drama. So can you write code CS, that means CR classical drama, CD, Caritas for code, and Lycidius Charles Sedley French drama, FD, that he supported French drama, and Neander, of course, he supported Newman, and who is Dryden himself, and of course he supported English dramatists such as Ben Jonson. Kept the unities when they wanted to, but they preferred to develop characters and motif. I hope everything is clear. You should remember Eugenius, remember the quote, Charles Sackville, and modern plots are more. So he supported modern drama. Caritas represent Robert Howard, and he supports classical drama. Lycidius, Sir Charles Sedley. Lycidius represent Charles Sedley, and he supports French drama. So plots of classical drama are more just, according to him. French plots carefully preserve Aristotle unities of action. So Lycidius said the French drama has all the characteristics of what Aristotle has mentioned in the Poetics, and he says that Aristotle's all unities of action, place and time, and they are all well followed in French drama, according to who? Lycidius. And Neander, who is new man, and he implies, Neander represent Dryden himself, and the word Neander means new man, and he says that English drama is as good as all the classical and French. So dramatists such as Ben Jonson and the unities when they wanted to, but they preferred. So one question can come, okay, in dramatic poesy, what other theatre are mentioned? So let's see. There will be A, modern drama. There will be B, classical drama. There will be C, French drama, and one is Italian drama. Okay, so they are asking in the question, they might ask, select the following which are not mentioned in dramatic poesy. So there will be modern drama, classical drama, French drama, English drama, and Italian drama, which is not mentioned in dramatic poetry. So that kind of question we might receive face in the exam. So of course you create some mnemonic for that also, Eugenius, Caritas, Lycidius, with the representation of their name, and of course Neander. So anyway, it all began where? Now I'm talking about who else are there. I can only see Priya and Anjali. Two more, like Vidya and Kirti also, or there was one uh, okay, I'm just taking you uh, in a boat in Thames River. Okay, so you all are in a boat, uh, and going. You're moving in Thames River. You're in a boat in Thames. Okay, so in Thames River, you guys were moving and you saw a fight between Dutch fleet and English fleet near the, of course, Thames, and there was some noise downward toward the noise from the battle. So you are hearing this all battle. Okay, all four of you, Kirti, Sangeeta, Priya, and Anjali. You all four are there. You're just enjoying your time in the river at late night. You're having fun. You're just sharing stories there, and suddenly you hear a battle there. Battle between two fleet, and one is Dutch and one is English. And at that time, why this was? Because it was the pride for English fleet that they won that from Dutch fleet. So that feeling. So उनमें से Neander who represent English, and he has like pride that his country is as great as the other nation. Okay, so I'm just making you imagine that thing, that you four are there in a river and you're having a good time there, and then you heard the noise of Dutch fleet and English fleet fighting there. And as I said, being an English, you have some self pride in being English. And now the topic being, four of you have different topic. So we'll just name, like start with Critus, and Critus will be Kirti. Okay, because it start with Critus, so we'll just make like that. And remember, Critus represent classical drama and modern drama pioneered by Eugenius. So you all four have different names. So just remember your name. Kirti is Critus, Anjali is Eugenius, Devi is Lycidius, and Sangeeta is Neander. Okay, and Critus represent a modern drama, and which is pioneered by Eugenius. According to Lycidius, French drama. So Lycidius here also says like French drama is superior to English drama. By Neander, who famously, and for Neander, that English drama is better than or equally good as the other theatre. And he says Shakespeare, the greatest soul, ancient or modern. While Neander had previously defended the Elizabethan, he now advances a proposition against the skeptic Critus, arguing that plays in rhyme are an important improvement over blank verse drama. So remember, not only Neander supported English theatre or Elizabethan theatre, but also he supported rhyme scheme, and he says that rhyme are an improvement over blank verse. So remember that Neander dash करके we can just put in Elizabethan theatre or English theatre, and also rhyme. So these are the points that it was mentioned in the dramatic poesy. A little bit we are taking time for that because this is very important, and it's like one question is certain. I just wanna know if you are there. So say I'm here in the chat box. Quickly, whoever is there. So we'll continue. I'll just give you like 1 minute break. I'll just get my water bottle and we'll be back in 1 minute. Right in the chat box, I am here. Great, Anjali says. Anjali is here and Priya is here. Great. So we'll just move forward. I hope it is clear. We know what is all happening in the dramatic poesy. Essay on dramatic poesy. You know what is happening, and remember, one question always comes from Shakespeare, like what he talked in the question, what Neander refers Shakespeare as. So these kind of question comes, and he hailed Shakespeare as the greatest soul, ancient and modern. Correct. And while Neander, that we already discussed, and of course in the poesy, Dryden also invoking all the unities from Aristotle poetics and as interpreted and refined by Italian and French scholars over the past century. So these four speakers discusses what defines a play as a just and lively imitation. So it seems Italian and French both are mentioned. So anyway, of human nature in action. So these two statements are very important, and they have asked like many times but these two questions. So according to Dryden, Shakespeare is compared as who? Homer. And exactly similarly, there is one more question that he compared Ben Jonson as who? Virgil. So write in the chat box quickly that Shakespeare as Homer and Ben Jonson as Virgil. So you can just write in short form like William Shakespeare WS to Homer, Ben Jonson BJ to Virgil quickly, and that is all in whole dramatic poesy. Got it? I hope you understand. Remember, write the code: Shakespeare as Homer, Ben Jonson as Virgil. Got it? And now we'll start with Nicholas Boyle. Not so much, just a little bit about it, and we'll just move quickly and reach to Alexander Pope, and of course, where? Our Johnson, Samuel Johnson. So anyway, right W.S. William Shakespeare as Homer, and Ben Jonson as great. Priya wrote William Shakespeare as Homer, Johnson as Virgil. Correct. That's very good. We'll just move now. Nicholas Boileau and his Desperex is kind of famous. So he's known simply as, you just remember Boileau. It doesn't. I mean, you are not getting questions from that. So I'm just making it to familiar. I mean, who all are there in neoclassical criticism. So he's actually a French poet and critic, and he made significant contribution to the reform of prevailing form of French poetry, just as Blaise Pascal made significant contribution to the reform of prose, and Horace greatly influenced him, and the translation on the Sublime by Boileau, that's why he is quite famous for it. And he also wrote the Art of Poetry. So that art of poetry, there are so many people have talked about. So the art of poesy, it's similar in imitation of Arc Poetica, like same Art of Poesy by Horace, like right. The rules of language of poetry again are laid down by Boileau, who also analyzed various kinds of poetry composition and influenced English literature through the translation of L'Art Poétique by William Swan and John Dryden notation in Alexander Pope's essay on criticism. Fine. And John Locke, simple, we have to remember him. As we know, he's English philosopher and physician, and we know him for the Enlightenment. Because of the Enlightenment, we know, and he is one of the most influenced thinker of the Enlightenment. And remember, he is commonly famous as known as the father of liberalism. And his work greatly influenced epistemology and political philosophy. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. John Locke, father of liberalism, and also one of the first influential thinker of Enlightenment. And his work greatly influenced epistemology and political philosophy. And remember, his writing influenced major people, like major figure at that time, like Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, David Hume, Immanuel Kant, and Scottish Enlightenment thinkers and the American revolutionaries. And the simple thing is that his work, the modern concept of identity, he was the one who talked about that the self can be traced back to Locke's theory of mind, which he says as tabula rasa, which is blank slate. So this was his most important term in the work, an essay concerning human understanding. And what is it? That he said the mind is kind of blank slate or tabula rasa at birth. So when you take birth, your mind is kind of blank slate or tabula rasa at birth. Now we're talking about just an essay on concerning human understanding. And we'll have just important terms here. We'll just discuss about all the important terms, what I has mentioned, and also whatever the content in the book are. So anyway, Locke depicts the mind, as we know, in the main concept in the work is the blank slate or tabula rasa. What mind at birth as a blank slate and tabula rasa. This is what is It is the main argument in the essay on an essay concerning a human understanding. The essay was one of the modern philosophy principal sources of empiricism. And book one talks about rationalist concept of innate idea. You just remember that this main point, slate or tabula rasa about the work. This an essay on concerning human understanding. Book 1, rational concept of innate ideas. Book 2 represent the theory of ideas, including his distinction between passively acquired simple ideas such as red, sweet, and round, and actively constructed complex ideas such as numbers, abstract ideas, ideas of substance, causes and effect, identities, and diversity. And some of the he talked about, there are two types of body quality, primary and secondary. Primary are like shape and motion, and secondary are like particle arrangement. Book 4 concerned with language. Book 5 concerned with knowledge, which include intuition, mathematics, natural philosophy, science, faith, moral philosophy, and opinion. John Dennis is also English critic and dramatist, and we know him. He became acquainted with Dryden as well as Shirley and Congreve, and he is the pioneer of the concept the sublime as an aesthetic quality, and Dennis is remembered as one of the leading critic of his generation. And he also famous for his grand tour of Alps contained his observations. So the advancement and reformation of modern poetry, which was published in 1700. Just important what we know is because of the reflection, critical and satirical, upon a late rhapsody called an essay upon criticism. You just need to remember the name and this particular work, which is the advancement and reformation of modern poetry. Now we are here for Mr. Pope. Write Pope in the chat box, so we'll begin the class. So we'll start our discussion on Alexander Pope, whose life span is 1688 to 1744, and we'll go on discussing about his an essay on man, and one more, an essay on criticism. So these two works we'll discuss, and immediately we'll move to the age of coffee houses, and we'll experience that. Anyway, write Pope in the chat box quickly. Great. So you should remember, we know Pope for his The Rape of the Lock, the Dunciad, and Essay on Criticism. That is small introduction and Popeny. Pope, great. Anyway, an essay on man. The first thing we are going to discuss about essay on, and there is not so many things to remember about this work. You only have to talk about the original sin, that pride is considered the original sin. These are the content which are important in the essay on man, and here the author recommends familiarizing oneself with the poet's background to overcome prejudice. So Milton attempts, so these two quotes you have to vindicate the ways of God to man and justifies, like we says, no, in Milton's there was one justifies the ways of God to man, and there was one very famous quote now, opening line of Paradise, Lost was starting with. Anyone remember the opening line of Paradise Lost? Anyone? We'll just check. So the opening line, very famous, is like, of men's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world, and all are war with the loss of Eden, till one greater man restore us and regain the blissful seat. Sing heavenly muse that on the secret top of Oreb or of Sinai didst inspire that Shepherd who first taught the chosen seed in the beginning how the heavens and earth rose out of chaos, or if Sion hills. Remember, this is quite a really grand opening of any kind of literature, if you must say. Very like blank verse, so many pause is there. It's all iambic pentameter blank verse, right? It is the grand style of Milton. So that work starts like that. Got it? So we'll just move to. So it actually says. So in one quote, it says no, that vindicate the ways of God to man is from. In Paradise Lost, justifies the ways of God to man. And it is actually the first stanza of Paradise Lost, and at the end itself. So the end of the Paradise Lost is that to the height of this great argument I may assert eternal providence and justifies the ways of God to man. So that was actually, this line was inspired from Paradise Lost, vindicate the ways of God to man. So that you should remember, and it challenges the anthropocentric worldview as prideful. However, the poem is not exclusively Christian. So we don't have any evidence that it is a Christian poem. So man is presumed to have fallen and must seek salvation for himself. So remember that essay on man, we just know it for a couple of things, which is the vindicate the ways of God to man, and of course original sin. And essay on criticism is also like that. There is not much to say, and whatever the content is there, it is mentioned here, important thing. And of course an essay on criticism is known for these three very important quote, or you may say it's like everyday these kind of quote are spoken, like, to error is human, to forgive divine, right? A little learning is a dangerous thing. Fools rush in where angel fear to tread. So anyway, that was all about quote. We'll just move quickly what all are there in essay on criticism. Okay, Anjali has written opening line of, sorry, okay, anyway, the anonymous publisher first published an essay on criticism. The book guide aspiring critic, it is kind of guide for the critics who wish to rise above prejudice and egos. And Pope revised the work in 1736 and divided into three sections. So these three sections are there in the in an essay on criticism. The first section actually deals about injury inflicted on poetry by bad critics. So there are bad critics out there. There were so many bad critics out there who talked bad about, I mean, they had bad criticism on poetry. So that section only talks about bad criticism, and the second section talks about the identifies pride as the source of fallacy in criticism. So the big fallacy in criticism is the pride of a particular critic that he is better than the other person, and so for that case he is talking about there. And the final section suggests that what could be the fine criticism, refining criticism. So in the beginning, what we do, it's like inductive reasoning you can say. First we find a problem, we know that problem is bad criticism, and second problem, he says the fallacy, source of fallacy is the pride, and third is the solution, which is refining criticism. I hope you got what I'm trying to referring here. So Pope begins to asking critics to abide by nature, since it is the only constant in the universe. And according to Pope, bad criticism stems from prejudice, excessive reliance and bookish knowledge, limited acquaintance with the poet under study and pride. To a devout Catholic like Pope, pride was nearly satanic, and it is the source of the following famous quotation that I already read. So, to err is human, to forgive is divine. To forgive divine. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So that is a satiric poem. So he also talked about couple of arguments he had raised, like a satiric poem composed of heroic couplets. So as we know, Pope and Dryden were the poet who wrote everything in rhyme. So they were like, even talking, it will be like, even if they are sleeping, they must be dreaming everything in heroic couplet or rhyme. So these two poets, most of his work are written in heroic couplets. So couplet is like rhyming, it rhymes. So 18th century verse, as I said, did not have a distinct form deriving ultimately from classical precedents like Horace, Ars Poetica, and Lucretius De Rerum Natura. So the poem references ancient authors such as Virgil, Homer, Aristotle, Horace, and Longinus. And again, now he says imitation of the ancient. He believed that the imitation of the ancients was the ultimate standard for taste. According to Pope, true ease in writing comes from art, not chance, as those move with easiest who have learned to done. This is also quite important quote. So true ease in writing comes from art, not by chance, as those move easiest who have learned to dance. So meaning, poets are made, not born. So an essay on criticism has been famously and fiercely attacked by John Dennis, who appears mockingly in their publication, and consequently Dennis also appeared in Pope's later The Dunciad. So that fight there so Dennis was bitter enemy of Pope, and he criticized Pope's work. Because of and result of this, he was depicted in Dunciad by Pope. So Dennis was appeared as a dull in, so he was like we'll just talk about John Joseph edition. I hope it is clear. Write in the chat box clear Pope, and then we'll move to John edition, and we'll let me see how much is there. We have still 6 minutes for this session, and let me see if we'll be able to finish. So if it is Samuel Johnson, it's gonna be big. Actually, Manuel Kant gonna be big this session. Sorry, today I really got stuck with a couple of things. I had to go and buy groceries, and also I was late, and then I thought it is already 2:30, and then I thought let's move the class at 4 o'clock. So we are studying Joseph addition now. Okay, that's fine. Okay, great. Pope clear. Nice. So now we'll just going to put our fifth gear, okay? Because now we are going to complete this in 6 minutes, maybe 16 more minutes. But anyway, we'll just start quickly. Joseph addition, as we know, is known for the spectator, and a spectator behind opening a spectator is because he, according to him, that the literature should not and the talk should not always be in the academic, but it should be in coffee houses, in common place, where people can just sit and talk about literature and all the gossip whatever is there in literary field. So that was their main aim, Joseph addition. So I'll just go simply quickly. Joseph addition, remember the lifespan, 1672 1719, and he's the founder of the Spectator, and you know the date, it is 1712, right? And it was published, the important essay is on the pleasure of imagination, and it was published in Spectator. And in the on the pleasure of imagination, we have it is about central goal is to harness the imagination to improve society. According to addition, if employed properly, the imagination can be means for one avoid falling into slothful or illicit ways. We just have to remember that on the pleasure of imagination, it was published in the Spectator by Joseph Addition in 1712. Okay. So on the pleasure was published in 1712. So addition goes, so this quote is also important: the sphere of his innocent pleasure and great contentment of mind, he asserts that it can be reached by any man of polite imagination. So I don't see that there are so many things about it. We'll just know, according to him, what is the pleasure of imagination. It is a sort of effortless contemplation and immediate ascent to the beauty of an object. These are some quotes here. Jonathan Swift, remember that this question they have asked, because Jonathan Swift has published like works under so many, not only one pseudonyms but many, like Samuel Gulliver, Isaac Bickerstaff, and M.B. Drapier. Everybody should be familiar with these pseudonyms, because in NET they have already asked about Swift pseudonyms. So in that case, so it becomes more important to remember these pseudonyms. So he was appointed Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral, Dublin, thus the common nickname Dean Swift. And remember, he wrote for the Whigs and then Tory. So in the 17th or 18th century, there were two famous political group, and which was Whigs and Tories. Swift is remembered for the works such as A Tale of a Tub, which is very important, where he talks about three brothers, right? One represent all three represent different kind of branch in of Christian. So some is some is Catholic, one is Protestant, and another is other. So anyway, so you have to if you want to know more about it, you can just go and read it. But anyway, A Tale of a Tub is about three brother, right? And the good story of Tale of a Tub is that their father has given them different coat jacket kind of things, right? And how they altered all these jackets, or you can say this is the jacket represent the religion, and how they alter, like Catholic has different kind of ideology, and of course a Protestant has different, and that is Martin kind of something, and they have different. So how they altered it, so it is all about three brothers. So A Tale of Tub. So one is an argument against abolishing Christianity, and that it was published in 1712. In our case, what is important? The battle of the book. Here in criticism, what is important? Battle of the book. A modest proposal is there, and Gulliver's travel and the adventure. Okay, so the battle of the books, very important thing. It is actually prolegomenon. Prolegomenon is, it's in simple, it's just like it's a part of A Tale of a Tub. So it was published together, the battle of the book. So this battle is actually occurs between books in the library. That question they asked, King's Library located at St. James. So that also they asked. In one question they asked about King's Library, and the other question it was about St. James Palace at the time of writing. So in the library, authors struggled. So there are so many authors, like these days, like rappers, these days they always talk about they criticize each other so much, and in their rap they always abuse each other. That is their trend right now. Exactly, that was happening in the library. And there are books, and there are categories, like some old book is there, and their battle, their fist fight, and whatever is there. Anyway, so the battle of the book, like two enemies in one room are fighting for the supremacy, like who is better, old literature is better and the modern. So here, tell me, Anjali, who do you support, old literature or ancient literature? I mean, ancient literature or the modern? Tell me. Suppose you're in the library, suppose you come across in a library where these two categories are fighting, and who will you support? You will support modern or ancient, right? Anjali and Priya, and one more person is there, I don't know who he is. Please make your present and say something here, that who we are talking about. Anyway, so here two people are there, not people, two categories are there, old and modern, and you have to tell me that whom you are supporting. So Anjali supporting modern literature is superior to ancient, and okay, so she supports modern. Anyone else wanna take a couple of punches in the library? Great. Priya also supports modern. Good. You all are modern. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, you guys are supporting modern, and okay, I'll support ancient. And let's see who wins there in the library. So let's happen what kind of no disqualification matches are happening in the library, and maybe chairs, maybe spiders, or maybe bees. You will find everything, every kind of instrument of fight. Okay, so suppose here Priya is modern and Anjali is ancient. Let's see what kind of fight they are having in the library. Anyway, let's move what is happening there. I'm very excited. So let's see. So the battle has become a satirical expression of the feud between ancient and the modern. So it is not just a battle between classical and modern authors, but also between writers and critics. So not only now fighting is happening against ancient and modern, but two people also joined there, and who is one person is a critic and another is writers. So writers also join the fight now, and critics also join the fight. Now I feel like the fight is a little bit more serious now. So be safe there, anything can happen. Let's see what is happening out there. Great. So this is a parody of heroic poetry, similar to Samuel Butler's parody of Battle and Hudibras. So according to him, modern man can see further than the ancient. So according to Butler, modern man, or you can say, okay, so Anjali is saying that modern man can see further than the ancient because they wear glasses, right? So anyway, so modern man can see further than the ancient. That's what Anjali is saying. Okay, and according to ancient, everything, and what ancient are saying, Priya is saying that everything necessary to know can be found in Virgil. Why should we go to the other people? If we can find everything in Cicero, Homer, and especially Aristotle, why would we go to the modern like Shakespeare and other people? If I can find it here, why should I go there? So that kind of fighting is happening. So great, you're lucky that it's not physical right now there, it's only verbal. So that is what happening in the library. Anyway, a miniature version of this literary contest was reenacted in England in 1690 when Sir William Temple published an answer. So all this battle, so इस बीमारी का जड़ कौन था? William Temple. So sir, all the fight started with William Temple publishing an answer to the Frontline entitled of Ancient and Modern Learning. So everything started from there. Okay, and now who's suffering? Priya and Anjali is suffering because of that. Anyway, the Temple argued that modern man is merely a dwarf standing on the soldier of. Now it's a kind of serious allegation right now on the modern. And Temple argued, now it's going a little bit more abusive, right? Like now saying the modern man is merely a dwarf. So it's like Anjali is standing, merely standing on the soldier of giants. So soldier of giant is ancient, and modern man is like they are standing on their shoulder and they are saying that they are the big, and whoever is down, which is ancient, that they are below. So that is what happening. So now it's becoming more interesting. The fight is becoming little bit so anyway, an incorporated allegory of the spider and bee. Now who's taking part is spider and bee interrupts the combat in the battle. They came in the battle between who? Modern and ancient, and now these two again. So it was not already enough that we had critics and writers in the field. There are two more people here, spider and bee. Come on, this fight is getting bigger. I hope nothing serious happens. Anyway, A spider swallowed up the first magnet. Come on, he has already bitten something. So swollen up the first magnitude by the destruction of infinite number of flies. Okay, the spider lives above her top self like a castle holder, and a bee drawn by curiosity destroyed the spider web. So here we're talking about a spider, and a spider has now in the fight what is happening, two people are there, and like a spider has his web, right, and bee because of the curiosity spider का घर ही तोड़ दिया. So his home destroyed. Now out of anger they are, now spider started cursing the bee for its clumsiness and for running his superior work. And now ancient is saying what? So here bee is modern and a spider is ancient. A spider, like, he has made his shelf with a beautiful old kind of house, you can say. So a spider is ancient, and bee out of curiosity, that modern man like Anjali came, see, out of curiosity and saw a beautiful house, and she messes up there. And what happens? Spider's web get destroyed, and then Priya started cursing her, saying that you are clumsy and ruining his superior works. Come on, that's good. So according to spider, his web is his home. So instead saying the web, whatever they have made, is home, stately manner. While according to the bee, he is vagrant and who may go wherever he pleases in nature. So that fight is over. So I hope it is clear. Write in the comment box clear. What clear? Pope nahi. Who is Jonathan Swift? Write Swift clear. So we'll move to Edmund Burke. Great. So I'll give you like 1 minute break. We won't fight anymore. Anyway, we'll just move to Edmund Burke. So I'll be waiting for your response in the chat box. Say Swift clear. Already 1 hour over. Swift clear. Okay, great. Okay, already 1 hour, 10 minutes. We'll just leave it for tomorrow, the rest. And what is the time now? 5:43. No problem. Critique of judgment. Section 5. Okay, we'll do the rest tomorrow. Okay, we'll try to move quickly. It was important topics, and because Johnson, we really need time for that. And one question is coming from that. That's why I just want to move this tomorrow, because if we try to finish this quickly, we might miss important point, and that nobody wants to do that. Exactly, you say now or later in the comment box quickly. Now or later in the comment box. So here we'll start Edmund Burke. Say later. I would ask you to say later, not now, please. Anyway, bye bye. I'm going to end this class. Paper 1 we missed. If possible, I'll do it tonight. Otherwise, I'll definitely going to teach you 2 hours there. And Anjali says the class was very interesting. Why not? Because there was fight. You guys fought bravely. And funny though. It was funny class, I can say. Okay, bye bye. I'm just closing the stream now. So live is going to end here. Bye bye.